Hello everyone, welcome back to my video. Today I'm going to look at Lentor Garden Residences. So I think today in this video I'm going to discuss on a few things. The number one thing that I'm going to discuss is, if you look at the Lentor area today, I think the number one biggest problem is there are too many condos in that area already. There are too many launches. So one very common problem is, do we have an oversupply issue? If yes, can we still buy? If you were to ask me whether do we have an oversupply issue, yes, we do have. But later on, we are going to tackle on this problem to see whether how can we strategize our exit timing if let's say you are looking at the Lentor area. The second one, if you have been following the Lentor for the last few launches, you will actually see that the Lentor area averagely when they first launched is about 1,900-2,000 per square foot, and the prices will slowly go up. So in this video, we are going to look at what is the right pricing to go in and what is the walk away price that you should be mindful of. And the third thing that we are going to look at is that if let's say you are watching this video and you are considering to buy Lentor Garden Residences as an investment, meaning to say you're not going to stay there, so we are going to look at rentability in that area versus profitability, right? Which one is more important and which one we should be mindful of. And lastly, we are going to look at the layout analysis. So let's begin. So some disclaimer here. So some of the information that I'll be presenting in this video is just solely for your reference and it's just solely for education purpose. So today, these are the topics that I'll be going through, which I've already gone through. So let's start. So if let's say at this point of the video, if you already have questions that you want to ask me, feel free to scan this QR code to drop me a message, or if not, you can just leave your comment in this video and then I will take a look at it. Let's take a look at the location map. So Lentor Garden Residences, we are probably the 7th plot, the 7 launches in the Lentor area already, right? So we are located here. We are not the closest to the Lentor MRT, but of course walkable. So the last few launches, being the first one, we have Lentor Modern already, right? Then follow, we have Hillock Green. And if today, if you have been to Lentor Modern Mall, you will start to see actually a lot of buildings are more or less ready, right? Like Hillock Green, like Lentor Hill, you start to see the building coming up ready. So which means that this project will actually TOP very soon. And this is where it is located. So Lentor Garden Residences, total we have about 499 units, and they also have one early childhood in the development, so which means that they have one childcare center within the development itself, and they also have some shops. So that's about it. In terms of the unit mix, you can actually see that I have about 50%, which is about 2-bedder. I have 27% of 3-bedder and another 21% of 4-bedder. And interestingly, in this project, we will see the first in the area, we have some strata terrace, but we don't have that many. We only have like 3 units in this project. So I believe on the launch day, we will do have buyers because the number of units is not a lot. So we only have 3. So from what I see in the unit mix is that we have half of 2-bedder and we have a good mix of 3-bedder and 4-bedder, right? So this add up to another half. So I think it's quite a good proportion of the unit mix. So the next one, if you see, this is just the developer perspective of Lentor Garden Residences. You can actually see that, so some of the shops, right, they are located somewhere here, this part. These are where the shops is, maybe 2 or 3 shops. And from what I see is that the pool is really nice, this kind of pool, which is a bit of resort style, which I think that the pool, it will definitely attract. And we have seen in a lot of Versat in Lentor area that they always have this sky garden, right, in the middle of the building. So we do see that in Hillock Green, we do see that in Lentor Mansion as well. So this is somewhat of an iconic design in the Lentor area. So to give you some view is that, this is where mainly the function room is, and they call it the infinity pool, which I find that it is the whole design of the Versat. It looks pretty nice, and the landscaping. And next, if we're moving on to the site plan, Lentor Garden Residences is, I feel that they have a full condo facility, which comes with a tennis court as well. So I think in terms of facility, they are not lacking off. So let's move on. So basically, if you look at the one very big problem in Lentor area is that Lentor area have too many condos already and they are oversupplied. So one very big question in a lot of buyers' mind is that today, if I'm looking at Lentor, with so many supply in the area, how am I going to exit? So right now in this video, I'm going to tackle this problem. So I actually pull out a lot of all the launches in Lentor area, including the upcoming supply in Lentor. So total, we have about 8 condos. 6 condos already launched. 1 Lentor Garden Residences is launching, and the 1 upcoming one, which is Lentor Central, right? So total, there are about 8 of them with different TOP dates. So you can actually see that being the first one is Lentor Modern. Lentor Modern already TOP this year. The next one that's going to TOP, it will be Hillock Green, and then followed by Lentora, which is next year, 2027. Then followed by Lentor Hill Residences, 28. And after that will be Lentor Mansion. And then we'll have Lentor Garden Residences. And Lentor Central will also TOP in 2028 as well. And we have another plot of land which is next to Lentor Modern, just sold in March this year, so which means that you will start to see them around next year. So with so many supply, if you look at all the supply, if I were to sum up all the supply in the area is about 4,000 plus, about 4,100 of units. So the first thing that comes to a lot of buyers' mind is that, wow, 4,100 units, they are all going to sell at the same time. But the key thing is that they are launched in different phases, and one very important thing is that some buyers actually bought it when the seller stamp duty was before the change actually kicks in. So some buyers, they actually have only 3 years seller stamp duty, and only a few launches that has 4-year seller stamp duty, right? So if you look at Lentor Garden Residences, is one of the launches that have 4 years. So actually, if you think about it, is that actually in that sense, in the exit timing, when the supply become available, it can actually help. Because if you see in the Lentor area, the first one that is going to benefit, which is Lentor Modern, which they are already transacting in the resale market today. So the first one, definitely they'll have an easier exit. The one that is in between one, which you will start to see that the supply will be very close. So the one that is in between that will hit with the competing condos that are going to TOP. Actually, then the next one that is actually having an easier exit will be those that is at the tail end. Okay, maybe the last one or the last two launches, because they are the one that will be competing with each other. The next slide, I'm going to explain what I'm saying is that I actually lay out the every year what are the ready supply that is available in the market. So if you see starting from 2026, right, this year we have Lentor Modern, we have Hillock Green, we have Lentor Hill Residences. So in total I have about 41% of the supply in Lentor that is going to available for buyers to buy. So these are the 3 projects that is competing with each other. And 2027 we have Lentora coming in and Lentor Mansion. So this will add on another about 6.6% in the supply already in the Lentor area. And 28 we have Lentor Central that is coming in, which is the second harmonization project, and they have about 11% of the Lentor supply. So you can actually see that from 2026, 27, 28, we have new supply coming in. If let's say for the some of the home sellers that is holding on to Lentor Modern or Hillock Green, you really have to exit very fast, because these are the condos that is competing with each other. But what is interesting is that if you see 2029, there is no new supply that is adding on to the market, which means that 2029, which is a good thing, right? So 2029 can actually let the market absorb all the supply that is available since 26, like Lentor Modern, Lentor Hill, Lentora and all that, right? So that 1 year is to let the market to absorb all the supply first. Then before 2030, where Lentor Garden Residences actually kicks in. So 2030, when Lentor Garden Residences, when it kicks in, they are only competing with the next year 2031, which is Lentor Central GLS, which is the upcoming one, which they will TOP as well. So what I'm trying to say here is that when Lentor Garden Residences, when they TOP, right, actually they are only competing with Lentor Central GLS, where the year before, they have about 1 year to let the market absorb the past few projects in the Lentor area. So this is what I mean, is that if let's say you are buying a Lentor Garden Residence, if you are buying a unit today and then you don't plan to hold very long, when Lentor Garden Residences, when they TOP, you know, it will be the good time to actually sell, to put your unit in the market for sale. If let's say for that 1 year, if it still never hit your expected price, when 2031, when Lentor Central kicks in, then they will be the one that is competing with you, because another 500 over units, but of course not everybody will sell. If let's say 2030, if you did not exit a market, maybe you need to wait until 2032. So it's only 2 years gap. But those who are buying at the very start, which is 2026, they might need to wait until another 3 years, 2029, to exit the market because of the competing supply. So this is something that we need to take note, is that for Lentor Garden Residences, I think the competing supply is not a lot. It's only the next upcoming one, which is only the next upcoming Lentor Central GLS. Then the next problem that we are going to talk about it is that if today you are looking at Lentor Garden Residences, what is the price to enter and what is the walk away price? So to understand that, the developer of Lentor Garden Residences is Kingsford. They have developed a lot of high profile condos like Normanton Park, Kingsford Water Bay, and Kingsford Hillview Peak, and also the recent Trump Park. So in this video, I'm going to use Trump Park as an example to go and analyze actually what is Kingsford developer pricing strategy and what we need to take note of. So if we look at the 2-bedder unit that is sold on the launch day of Trump Park, we are going to look at how will developer actually price for a road facing unit versus a pool facing unit. Will there be a big difference in terms of pricing, or will it be very close? So if you look at a 2-bedder, 700 square feet. The developer sold it for 1.599 on the launch day, which PSF is about 2287. So for a pool facing unit, same size, same floor level, developer sold it at 1.755, which is 156,000 in terms of premium. So what can we see from this example is that Kingsford has the habit of placing a very big jump in terms of premium for the better facing ones. So if you look at Lentor Garden Residences, right, the better facing, they have the Hillock Park facing, and they have the pool view facing, and also they have the Teachers Estate, the landed facing, right? I feel that for the launch day, I think Kingsford, they will definitely load a lot on the better facing unit. So this is something that we need to take note on the launch day. Then the second one, what about the per floor jump? The per floor jump, if I were to see a level 3 unit for a 2-bedder, level 3 is 1.733. Then to go up to the level 4 is 1.84. So you can actually see that one floor jump is 107,000, which is about 6.1% jumps. If you ask me, this jump is really a lot. This jump is a lot for one floor. And also very strange that from level 4 to level 5, the jump, it goes back. For level 5, they are selling cheaper than level 4. So they are selling cheaper by 14,000, and then they will resume back. And then from level 5 to level 6 is about 1.83. It's about 4,000 per floor jump. So what can we tell from this development pricing strategy is that for Kingsford, I think they will definitely be placing a lot of per floor jump onto one particular floor. Then after that, they will resume back to normal per floor jump. This is something that we need to take note on the launch day, is that Kingsford, they might price different loading onto different floor. So if you look at Lentor Garden Residences, I think at level 14 like that, they will have a sky garden, right? So very likely after level 14, the jump might be a lot. Or maybe before going up to level 14, in between they might have smaller jumps already. So this is on the launch day, something that we really need to take note. So the next thing we are going to talk about is what is the correct pricing to enter, and also what is the walk-away price. So I actually collate all the projects in terms of the land prices and what is their lowest launch price and the highest sold price. So if you see Lentor Modern, right? If you see Lentor Modern in terms of land price first, Lentor Modern actually is the first one to go in at 1,200 per square foot. Then subsequently all the projects like Hillock Green is 1,001, 1,000 for Lentor Hill. But the key thing is that for Lentor Modern, although they go in at a higher price, developer, they did not launch very high. Their lowest is 1,994 per square foot for their 2-bedder. So you can actually see that their 3-bedder also launched about 1,800, 4-bedder about 1,895, right? So averagely for Lentor Modern, their lowest starting price is about 1,900. But today in the resale market, it has really went up to 2,500 per square foot already for their 2-bedder, right? And their 3-bedder is already touching 2,500. So what we can see from here is that Lentor Modern being the first one to go in, definitely developer, they are entering an untested area. So definitely developer, they'll be more cautious. But what we can see from here is that the subsequent project that went in after that, the highest is actually Lentora, which has already touched about 2,006, coming to 2,006 per square foot already. And their 3-bedder also touched about 2,670 per square foot. So if you were to look at Lentor Garden Residences, although they got the land very cheap at 920, my take is that although they are a harmonized project, I feel Kingsford might launch at a very attractive price, maybe at 2,100 per square foot. But the upwards, the limit, I think it will go pretty high. My guess is maybe 2,700 per square foot. So averagely maybe about 2,500, 2,600 per square foot. So if you were to ask me whether this price can go in or not, if let's say on the launch day, if you need to go in at about 2,500 per square foot example, this price whether can go in or not. So if you were to see that if you were to go in at 2,500 per square foot in the Lentor area, we are hitting probably one of the highest that Lentora have already done. But if you look at the next plot of land, Lentor Central GLS, the land is already sold at 1,278 per square foot, which is very much higher than Lentor Garden, right? So I work out the sums, probably developer, they need to launch averagely around 2.6, but it might hit about 2.8 for Lentor Central GLS. So if you were to enter at 2.5, yes, it may be highest or one of the highest in the area, but the protection comes from Lentor Central GLS, where potentially they need to sell higher because of their land price. So the protection actually comes from there. So I feel that, if let's say on the launch day, if you were to get something that is more than maybe 2.6 or 2.7, then that one might be price that you might need to consider and walk away. So the next problem that we are going to look at is that it's mainly for investors. If let's say today you are looking to buy Lentor Garden Residences as an investment and then to rent out, a lot of investors, when they buy a property to rent out, usually they will look at rental yield and whether or not it can rent out or not in the area versus capital gain, which is profitability, right? So today, buying as an investment, which one is more important, and it really depends on what is the main objective that you are buying and what do you want to achieve at the end of it when you exit. So what do I mean by that is that if I were to use two projects to compare, one pearl bank, they TOP in 2024 before. So you can actually see that one per bank is actually located in a pretty good area in Outram Park, where they are also very close to MRT. So you can actually see that their one bedder can rent out highest at 5,000. Their two bedder can hit 7,600. Whereas another project that is located pretty far at Riverfront Residences, which is also not near MRT in the Hougang area, their two bedder highest done only 3,500, and their two bedder highest rented out is only 4,000. So you can see in terms of the rental differences is very big, of course in the very different area. But what is really the main difference is that for high rental, right, you can see that their average profit is actually lower. For one bedder, their average profit is about 85,000 and their two bedder is 171,000, compared to somewhere that is having not so good, not so high rental, but their profit turned out to be very good. Their one bedder is 127,000 and two bedder is 256,000. So there's a difference. For one bedder is 42,000 more for a project that is pretty far and not having so good rental, but they have good profit, and their two bedder is 85,000 more and their three bedder is 103,000 more than one per bank. So what I'm trying to say here is that if let's say you're buying mainly for investment and then you are looking at high rental, so the high rental that you are getting mainly compensate the lesser profit that you will get in the future, and compared to an area that has lower rental, they are being compensated by a higher capital gain in the future. So if you look at Lentor Garden Residences, is in an area that maybe rental wise you will not get so high, but it may be compensated by the profitability in the future. So if let's say at this point of the video, if you have any burning question that you would like to connect with me, feel free to scan this QR code or you can leave me a message in the comment box. So the next thing I'm going to go into is layout analysis. So in Lentor Garden, they don't have a one bedroom, so I will start from a two bedder. For the two bed, two bath, they don't have two bed, one bath. So basically from what I see is that, you know, the 646 square feet P1 is a classic dumbbell layout and they have an open concept kitchen, versus 678 square feet where the developer is giving you a tuck-in kitchen and a study. So versus P2 and P3, it will be more or less the same, but P4 is just that, you know, they actually shifted the study slightly up. So basically from what I see is that having a tuck-in kitchen is actually good for P2, 3 and 4. The difference is just very minor, it's just the placement of the study area. Then for the 2 plus study, they have 3 different types. So the first one, it comes with, interestingly, they only have one type that comes with a 2-bedroom but plus a household shelter, which is very nice, and they take away the study. And the other 2 plus study, from what I see is that they also giving you a enclosed kitchen and a study area. And the placement of the study, you can actually see that the study of this is actually next to a kitchen, which I feel that the study might be able to fit a single bed. If let's say you are really buying for investment, you can actually have extra income if you were to box up this area as a bedroom. And compared to here, I can see that the width is a bit shorter. So if you really want to place a bed here, it might be a bit tight. So if you were to ask me my preferred choice of layout, I would say that for a 2-bed, 2-bath, I think the one that comes with a household shelter will be very unique, because if you look at in the Lentor area, a lot of the layout for other projects, it doesn't come with a household shelter. So it comes with a 2-bed, 2-bath but don't have a household shelter. So in that area, it is still in a HDB upgraders market. So you will do get buyers coming from the HDB and they need a household shelter. So this is what I think that it will be a good layout to go. If not for a 2 plus study, I would prefer this type of layout, which is S1, which I feel that is quite nice to have a tuck-in area for the study, or if not, I have the flexibility to actually box this up to have a bed here. Then this will be another bedroom. Next one, I'm going to go into 3-bedroom compact. So for 3-bedroom compact, they have 2 different types. 3-bedroom compact and the other type is a 3-bedroom plus study. What is really different is that the layout is quite similar. They're also giving you an enclosed kitchen. The C1872 square feet, I can see that all the bedroom size can fit at least a queen size bed, and master bedroom can fit a king size bed. So it's pretty standard. The other type, it comes with a proper study area. So I find that it is actually very nice, and you know that at this point of time, what is my preferred layout? It is actually the 3 plus study, 3-bedroom compact. Because why? Because if you look at the Lentor area, a lot of 3-bedroom compact, they don't come with a study area. So having a 3-bedroom compact plus a study area, it will definitely stand out in the whole Lentor area. Next one, if let's say you're looking at a 3-bedroom but a larger unit, so for their 3-bedroom premium have 3 different types. The first one is a 3-bedroom premium plus study. From what I see is that mainly is the different lies with the foyer. So you can see that, you know, this one don't really have a foyer. You come in, you straight away see the kitchen already. And for the other type, they have a small walk-in foyer, and P5, they have a longer foyer. And only this P1 plus S, they give you a small study and a household shelter. What I'm seeing is that, you know, if let's say the study is stuck outside the common bedroom, one of the idea that some buyers can actually think of is that, you know, if you really want to have a study, if you want to have a bigger master, you can actually swap your master bedroom and your common bedroom around. So you may want to enclose this up, and this can be your walk-in wardrobe in the study area, or it can be a proper study. Then the other master, you may want to box this up and put your wardrobe here. Then this master bath become your common bath. So this is just one idea what you can do with the floor plan. For P3 and P5, honestly, I don't see any big differences. So I suspect the additional space might go to the living room. So my preferred choice will be P3. It will be P3 because I still prefer this kind of traditional layout, which I think a lot of HDB upgraders can actually relate to. And the foyer is not too big, so lesser wasted space. Next, I'm going to go to a 4-bedder. A 4-bedder compact, they have two different types, C1 and C2, both of the same size. But what is really different is the foyer. For C2, they have a walk-in foyer where C1 don't really have. I think the rest of the things, I don't see any differences, where you still get a wet kitchen and a dry kitchen, and you also get a very nice walk-in wardrobe in the master bedroom. Next one is a 4-bedroom premium 1356 square feet and 1346 square feet. What I'm seeing, the main difference also lies with the foyer, where this foyer I think a bit weird. It's a bit of zigzag kind of foyer, where I would still prefer this P2 type, which is easy for me to put like a shoe rack there or a settee there. So the next one I'm going to touch on is the Strata Terrace House. So this one, they only have 3 units only. So for Terrace House 1 and Terrace House 2 is 1496 square feet, both are the same size, and this Strata Terrace House can actually fit a 5-bedder. So if let's say you are looking at a 5-bedroom in the area, you might want to consider Strata Terrace House. And the layout is more or less quite similar. If let's say you see that this is the main door, as you come in, you have a living and dining area, and next to it is a staircase to the 2nd floor. And when you walk in here, you actually have a common bedroom and a common bath. And you turn in here, it will be your wet kitchen and your dry kitchen, right? And a storeroom. So it's quite standard. When you walk into the upper floor, the 2nd floor, you will have 4 bedrooms upstairs, the master, the common bedroom, and the other common bedroom. What I'm seeing is that, Strata Terrace is probably the first in the whole Lentor area. We don't see it in other Lentor projects. So if let's say you're looking at a 5-bedder, you may want to consider this. So for Terrace 2, honestly, I don't see any big difference in terms of the floor plan. Then another Terrace 3 will be also 1496 square feet. I also don't see any big difference in terms of floor plan. So I think that's all for my analysis on Lentor garden residences. So I think in this video, we have discussed quite a lot of things where we look at the oversupply problem in the Lentor area and how can we actually time our strategy to exit. We also look at, what is the walk away price and what is the price to enter Lentor garden residences. And the last one, we are looking at the rentability versus profitability. We know which one is more important as investors. And the last one, we look at the layout analysis. So if let's say at this point of time, if you have any question, feel free to scan the QR code to connect with me, and then I will see you in my next video. Bye!